Now, The Hunt Palmer Show.
Yes! I feel like I've been waiting for this my entire life.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Jolly good fun. Jolly good.
Locking down the middle of the day.
America's favorite daytime fun show.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
Welcome in. Hunt Palmer coming to you from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio downtown in the capital city on this Monday. Got Jacob Beck and Cassie Fasali back there on the ones and twos. Appreciate you hanging out with us. Hope your work week's off to a good start. Hope the kids got off to school, and it's just about fall. It means football's in the air, and we got a lot of it to talk about here over the next 2 hours. I was out at LSU football practice earlier this morning. Got to watch almost 2 hours of practice today, so we'll talk a little bit about that. Saints were on the field yesterday. Certainly want to dive into all of that, good and bad. We'll talk to Dr. Jeremy Burnham from Oxford coming up at 1:45. Probably going to talk some tendinitis with Dr. Burnham at the end of this hour. We'll meet the freshman, and Blake Baker spoke with the media earlier today. We'll get to some of that in our second hour as well. So lots and lots and lots to do over the course of the next couple of hours. Lock us in. Let's get rolling the way we do every day with our Genesis opening drive.
It's time for Hunt's Opening Drive, presented by Genesis of Baton Rouge.
So when signing day rolls around for college football, you look at all the players that your favorite school signed. In this case, we're talking about LSU, obviously. And you start thinking about those skill sets and those talents, and you wonder, okay, what could this guy do? What impact could this guy have? And you're generally going to be on the optimistic side of that on signing day, right? Well, I want to talk about one guy, what I saw today, what I've really seen for 3 weeks, and what I expect to see this year relative to what we thought when he signed. It's Trey'Dez Green. Because today, I'm out at practice, and I'm watching Trey'Dez Green, and I'm going, this is the dude that everybody was talking about when he was a senior in high school. This is the dude who is going to be a significant problem for defenses to deal with, whether that's in the middle of the field, whether that's on third downs, and certainly whether or not that's in the red zone. Because Trey'Dez Green was everywhere today. And in this segment, where I generally just talk about everything I saw at practice, I'm just going to talk about what I saw from Trey'Dez Green at practice. Because it wasn't like, oh, there's that one highlight reel catch. It was consistent dominance over the course of an hour and 20 minutes when we were out there. It started in the indoor. LSU was running on an 11-man defense. And keep in mind, nobody's got shoulder pads on. Nobody's got leg pads on. This was just a helmet practice day. But they're running down in the red zone, and Trey'Dez Green runs kind of a slant in-breaking route with the line of scrimmage right about the 10-yard line. And Harold Perkins is covering him. And Garrett Nussmeier throws the ball towards the goalpost, and it kind of looks like it's going to be wide and be incomplete. And the best way I know to describe it, maybe it's because I've got a 3-year-old at home, maybe it's because I'm channeling my 5-year-old self. The best way I know to describe this catch was Trey'Dez Green went go-go gadget arms, and his arms went like an hour and a half forward and caught the ball. And as I watched this play, which was a rare like highlight reel play in practice that we see. We don't see a ton of those. I'm thinking to myself, okay, I've got the roster in front of me, and Harold Perkins is listed at 6'1", 220, and he's as good an athlete as there is on defense in college football. And he's one of the guys, that type of player that another team would theoretically put on Trey'Dez Green. He's a tight end, so maybe a linebacker could cover him or be asked to do that, right? And in this case, a freakish athlete at linebacker is running stride for stride with Trey'Dez Green. Harold Perkins can run with Trey'Dez Green, no problem. Stride for stride, right there in the end zone. But Nussmeier puts the ball out beyond where Harold Perkins can reach. He's limited in what he could do there at 6'1". But Trey'Dez Green is 6'7", and his arms are twice as long as Harold Perkins. So while they're running stride for stride, he just reaches up and grabs it. I don't know what you're supposed to do if you're Harold Perkins in that situation except be 2 steps in front of him. And that's exactly the point that we make when we talk about Trey'Dez Green, saying like they just don't have anyone on that side of the ball, meaning the defense, with a skill set even close to Trey'Dez Green. No one that is 6'7" plays defense unless they're on the edge, and generally speaking, that doesn't even happen either. So you don't have anybody his size. Well, you can try to out-physical him, and that's generally going to come from a linebacker, but Trey'Dez Green is 240 pounds. And there comes a point in time in the route when he gets beyond the line of scrimmage where you can't be that physical with him, or it's a penalty. So now you have to line up and just be as good an athlete of him. And no one on the defense is as good an athlete as Trey'Dez Green. And this is one catch I'm talking about, but it continued. He went outside, literally, not outside in the formation, literally outside for practice, and we got into some red zone periods and got into some 11-on-11s and some 2 minutes. And he's just making catches like down the sideline where I'm just not sure what the defensive back's supposed to do. The only time I charted a Trey'Dez Green incompletion today with the defense out there, DJ Pickett was on him. And that's really the only shot you've got because LSU happens to have the only 6'5" corner I know of in college football. There's probably another one.
I was going to say, DJ Pickett's the only guy that would really have a chance against him.
He's 6'5", 195, and Pickett did force an incompletion. I'm pretty confident there would have been a pass interference flag thrown, but I'm glad Pickett was in there mixing it up with him, but still. And I go back to last week. I'm out there at practice, and as the offense is going, I'm on the right sideline. And Garrett Nussmeier takes a snap. It's 7-on-7. He pulls to the right, throws it out towards the right sideline towards me. And I realize how high it is because it's like in my general direction. And my neck kind of cranes upward to look, and there goes Trey'Dez just flying through the air and catches it on the sideline.
Hunt, this was credit to T-Pal in the chat. You missed a perfect opportunity for a Space Jam reference with Michael Jordan's arm stretching out.
Would have been very good. Similar thing. I've watched that 437 times. Not sure how I don't get to that.
Yeah.
But I went Inspector Gadget. Either way, freakish is the way you would describe Trey'Dez Green at this point. And Bauer Sharp is playing well. He had a nice diving catch today. We talked to Joe Sloan back on Friday about Bauer Sharp, talked about his physicality at the line of scrimmage and the edge that he brings to practice each and every day. But what you're seeing with Trey'Dez Green, who, by the way, was a basketball player until about 4 years ago. What you're seeing now is a guy who's starting to understand how to get off the line of scrimmage, starting to understand how to run routes, and now Garrett Nussmeier is figuring out where to put the ball to get it to him. And that's a different place than you would put the ball to throw it to Aaron Anderson. It's a different place than you would throw it to Xavion Thomas. It's a different place than you would throw it to Berrien Brown. The catch radius here is way different than everybody else in that pass-catching group. And Nussmeier's starting to figure that out. And it's something that you would have immediately said when LSU got him signed. You're going, oh, this dude's a basketball player who's 6'7". Like, wow, he's going to be really difficult to deal with. And last year, like, in the first home game, LSU threw Trey'Dez Green a touchdown pass. He caught one against Ole Miss over the middle. And then you saw him catch two in the bowl game. One was a nice catch in the back of the end zone where Nussmeier threw it high. One was just a wide-open throwback screen. But this is going to be a problem for defenses. They can't just treat Trey'Dez Green like a normal tight end. They can't treat him like a normal slot receiver because you have to realize that the guy that you've put on the opposite side of the line of scrimmage from Trey'Dez Green is at a significant matchup disadvantage no matter who it is in all of college football. And that just stuck out to me today as I was watching him make plays. Now, again, it's not 11-on-11 tackling. No one's got shoulder pads on, and I realize that can be somewhat of just an athletic competition, kind of like a combine, when you take a little bit of the physicality out of the game. And physicality is the one thing that Trey'Dez Green's going to have to learn. He can always be tall, run, and jump, and physicality is something he's got to learn and got to get better at. But he is, and he's put on weight since he got to campus. And now that Mason Taylor has moved on, keep in mind, Mason Taylor played triple, quadruple almost the snaps that Trey'Dez Green played last year for good reason. Mason Taylor's an awesome player, most productive tight end in school history. I'm not suggesting they should have taken Mason Taylor off the field. What I am suggesting is that he didn't get thrust into action last year, and now he's a year older, a year more mature, a year with more understanding of how to play the position. He's got a new position coach in Alex Atkins, and I think you're going to see an explosion this year from Trey'Dez Green. Explosion. I think he can catch 10 or 12 touchdowns. I don't think that's ridiculous. Because of what I watched today, what I saw last week, and the amount of snaps he figures to get. I don't think he's going to go for 950 yards, but I think he's going to make impactful catches on third downs and in the red area because Garrett Nussmeier is starting to figure out, I can throw it places to this guy that defenses can't really deal with. And I thought, as I mentioned right off the bat, the perfect illustration of that is as athletic a 6'1" defender as there is in college football, with speed, with some physicality, had no match for Trey'Dez Green in the end zone today. They're working on throwback screens to him. They're working on middle screens to him. They're working him in the red zone. They're throwing some jump balls to him. That's the one Pickett got in the way of. They're going to start featuring Trey'Dez Green. And it is going to be a huge, huge piece to this offense. Again, not 1,000 yards worth, but touchdown plays, money plays on third down. Trey'Dez Green is going to be a huge, huge problem for people to deal with this year. And again, I wanted to immediately highlight that out of today's show before we got into the rest of practice. I got injury reports. I've got 11-on-11 stuff. I've got some special teams we can talk about. I saw a lot at practice today, but nothing to me was as impactful as standing there watching Trey'Dez Green. And this is going to be a little bit of hyperbole, so don't take it literally, but in this vein, those couple of plays felt like Malik Neighbors a little bit leading up to 2023, where I was watching Malik Neighbors high point balls in the end zone and just moss defenders just dominate with Jaden Daniels. And you saw the result of that in 2023 was just dominance. And I think there are going to be times where Trey'Dez Green is dominant this year in his sophomore season at LSU. So that's my first thought today. That's our Genesis opening drive here on this Monday. We'll come back and talk about the rest of things that we saw at LSU's practice today. We'll have Saints in 15 minutes. They were on the field in a game against not San Diego. It would be Los Angeles yesterday afternoon. I watched all of that. So we'll talk about that when we at 1:30. More LSU football when we come back.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Highland Insurance Group, HighlandIG.com is the website. Captives are a big, big thing over at Highland Insurance Group. If you've never checked in on a captive and are not sure what a captive is, you've heard the term, but like, do we fit? I'm not really sure if my company, if that works. Well, call Jonathan Carbo and his team at the Highland Insurance Group or check them out at HighlandIG.com. Say, hey, I heard Hunt talking about captives. I haven't really touched on that with my current broker. Is that something that y'all can discuss with me? They'd be happy to. You got to pay a sizable amount in insurance, and you've got to be a fit in terms of your risk management and your risk. But if you do fit, it could be a game changer to your business's bottom line in a completely different way to handle insurance expenses. Not every broker has access to captives. Not every broker fully understands captives. At the Highland Insurance Group, they handle them every single day. Jonathan and I have spoken about them in depth. He believes they're the future of insurance. So do I. And in many ways, they're the present. So if you're a sizable company, you spend a lot on insurance, and you'd like to look at another option because those renewals just keep climbing and climbing and climbing, and you just want to find a way to help your bottom line, a captive may be the answer. Check out the Highland Insurance Group. They're here in Baton Rouge. They can help you statewide. It's the Highland Insurance Group online at HighlandIG.com.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
At Ochsner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
gotta believe in a dream. Believe. You gotta believe in a dream. Believe. You gotta believe. My whole team on wild.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram is taking $22,500 off MSRP on the brand new 2025 Ram 1500 Laramie with $22,500 off MSRP with a complimentary 7-year powertrain warranty that comes with all new Bayou Automotive vehicles. If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
River Parish Contractors has immediate openings for structural steel shop fabricators. Call or text Big Jake today at 318-547-1000 or go to rpcontractors.com and click on employment. River Parish Contractors. Let's get building.
At Luba Workers' Comp, our journey began over 30 years ago with a simple belief. Our clients come first.
At Luba, our business has always been focused on people, not policies.
Through every success and challenge, we've continued to grow because we've stayed true to our values, committed to providing you with genuine dependability.
Because your well-being is more than a priority. It's our purpose.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Back here on The Hunt Palmer Show on this Monday. Beck, how was your last weekend as a parent, as a childless person? Did you sleep till noon?
No, I didn't actually.
Did you sleep till 10?
Nope.
9?
Nope.
8?
Yeah, probably about 7:30 or 8, I think.
8 o'clock? Good.
Yeah.
Hope you enjoyed that.
Yeah.
Because next Saturday, you might still be in the hospital next Saturday. You won't be in the hospital.
No, probably. Well, yeah, probably. Actually,
Saturday
no.
you may.
Probably still will be, actually.
Be there on Saturday. So you can potentially sleep a little bit.
Yeah.
And the following Saturday, probably not going to sleep till 8.
Yeah. Probably not.
You ready for that? Mentally prepped?
I mean, ready as I'll ever be.
Keller just, about 6:15 every morning, just starts screaming.
Yeah.
And then we don't go in there until like 6:45. Sometimes he screams for 30 minutes.
It's impressive. You know, it really is impressive.
Supposed to tell him to work it out.
Yeah.
You'll work it out.
We will.
Let's talk some football. LSU back on the practice field today. I want to do a health checkup first. That's obviously the most important thing. I will be honest with you. I spoke to some folks in the media, not in LSU, who watched Saturday's practice and thought, that didn't look awesome. Like, everyone basically wrote in their reports and said in their podcasts and everything, like, he was out there, had the sleeve on, and he was okay. And I think that's generally correct. But I talked to some people after that fact that said, he's clearly dealing with something. And that's, like, not the end of the world. And it's okay to say that. And I think no one's, like, covering anything up at this point. But I was anxious because I did not go to Saturday's practice. I went and had a remote at River Parish Community College. By the way, it was awesome. I wanted to see him today and kind of give my assertion of where he is in terms of dealing with that tendonitis. He had the sleeve back on today. Not a brace, but like a sleeve to stabilize. And he was quite mobile today in the 11-on-11, which, again, no one had shoulder pads on, so nobody was tackling anybody anywhere today. He took off and ran once. He looked completely fine today. I would submit, this is my guess, after hearing Brian Kelly talk and hearing Joe Sloan talk and watching him today, this is my guess. He does have some soreness in his ankle. It probably doesn't feel awesome all the time, but he can go out there for an hour and a half with the understanding that no one's going to hit him and get his work in. And hopefully with the treatment they've got over there, and the vigilance that they'll have in getting him ready for the first game, he will be just fine. But he's not like pain-free out there. He's working through it and is okay to practice fully. And I think if they needed to give him a day off here or there, they certainly could. But he does have something going on with that knee. Now, he was out there, practiced fully today. Aaron Anderson today was out there, full speed, going through the team drills. He looks to be pretty healthy to me. Barian Brown got quote-unquote hurt today. I wouldn't use that word. He fielded a punt on the run. It was a shorter punt, and he fielded it and made the catch on the run and finished the run out. He actually ran right past me. And I didn't realize this, but I was told by two people, including Matt, after practice. He, after that, was a little bit gimpy, and they took him to the side, retaped his ankle, and he went back in, so no big deal. It wasn't even a big enough deal to keep him out of practice the rest of the day, so I wouldn't think that was too big an issue. Jakeem Jackson, it was an issue today. I believe he was stretching his hamstring. He was right next to me. He was riding the bike, and he was going through some light calisthenics, some light high knees. So, he's probably something with the hamstring. They're keeping it loose, keeping it warm, but he's not out there participating. But that's really the only guy who was off to the side today. Everybody else was a full go. So that's good news for LSU. That's the health part of it. I know that on Saturday, drops were a big deal for the LSU pass catchers. You saw a number of drops, and that's certainly never anything you want to see. But today I was paying attention to that. In the indoor session, when the defense wasn't out there, it was just they're throwing on air the route tree. The ball only hit the ground once, and I would estimate probably 35 or 40 balls were thrown in that period. So that was good. Obviously, going against defense, you don't want no defense. You don't want the ball to hit the ground, but it didn't. And drops were not a significant issue today. I mentioned Trey Green in the top. We did a whole segment on him. But the other guy who really stood out on the offensive side today was Davion Thomas. He was making every catch all over the place. A lot of balls in the middle of the field that he was making nice plays on. He's a guy that I don't have a huge role for in the offense. Me personally right here, I look at Chris Hilton, who I think is the number one. Aaron Anderson's 1A. Those two guys are your top two right now. And then I look at a group that includes Barian Brown and Kyle Parker and Nick Anderson right there. And then you've got another group that's next that I think that you're probably looking at Davion Thomas at the top of, that includes Destin Hill and the freshman wide receivers. But I think that's probably where he is right now. They're going to use him in the backfield to catch the ball a little bit, but they did get him the ball down the field a good bit today, and he really had a nice job. He has just proved that LSU has really good depth at wide receiver, an insanely high floor at wide receiver, and they're going to be just fine and really, really good at that position. DJ Pickett did not allow a single catch in the indoor period of 7-on-7, 11-on-11, and 1-on-1. You hear that and you go, oh, that's incredible. And it is. I think it's great. I will tell you, he is really physical to the point where it looks like pass interference to me, like pretty flagrantly. And for those portions of practice, there wasn't an official out there. Sometimes they do have an official for 11-on-11. They will actually throw a flag and you'll know that the official called it. That wasn't the case inside. It looks like kind of flagrant pass interference to me. But I'll take it as this. This is the way that I'm going to look at it in July. I guess it's August now. I would say he's in position. He's not afraid to be physical. And he's breaking the passes up. That, to me, is a good start. If it's pass interference, well, he'll adjust to that. He'll learn about that. But he was involved, and he was knocking some balls away. That was a really good thing to see. They spent an entire period today on screen passes, and I loved watching it because they're creative, they're versatile. They are throwing middle screens to tight ends. They're throwing tunnel screens into the middle of the field with the wide receivers. They're doing jet sweep play actions and then throwback passes into that screen. They're throwing the ball to the tight end, to the running back, to the wide receivers. And to me, this is a great period for LSU to work on because I think LSU needs to be a good screen team this year. Why do I say that? Number one, they've got incredible skill position players who just need the ball. Get them the ball out there on the perimeter and let the offensive line try to go block for him and create a big play. Like, you've got dudes that can turn it up the field. Barian Brown, Chris Hilton, Davion Thomas. Those guys can take the ball and get up the field. We've seen it with Aaron Anderson as well. And I like the possession screens that could really get 4, 8, 12, 15 yards to Trey Green, to Bauer Sharp. And certainly you want to get the ball out to the running backs. And I want to give a hat tip to the running backs today. Caden Durham, no drops, looks really comfortable catching the ball. We know Harlem Berry looks incredibly comfortable catching the ball. He did a great job in the passing game today. And Caleb Jackson actually made a nice one-handed catch when we were in the indoor facility as well. He looked good catching the ball. I didn't chart a single drop by the running backs today, so that was encouraging. And the other piece to that, when you've got all those playmakers and you want to create all that space, you want to get the ball out quickly and all that, that's all awesome. It also helps your offensive line. If your offensive line has some trouble with pass blocking, if you're adept in the screen game and you can keep teams from pinning their ears back and coming after your quarterback, because they've got to be cognizant that if they get too aggressive up the field and you dump it over their heads and you get your offensive line out in front and you've got those type of dudes with the ball in their hand in space, it can be a touchdown like that. And so that's a good message for LSU to send early in the season. If you find out at Clemson that you're struggling to block them in the interior and they're coming after Nuss, work some screens in. And you can't just have like 2 of them. I watched the screen period today. LSU probably ran 7 different screens. I loved it. And at the end of that period, Joe Sloan looked at the whole group and goes, love that period, great period, and started clapping to the guys. It was good. And I think LSU's got to be good at that. There's a lot of misdirection, a lot of different ball handling, getting the ball out quickly. I loved the screen period today a ton. And then I wanted to go to the 2-minute offense that kind of finished things off for me today before I bounced out and left. Matt wrapped things up with the 11-on-11. If you'd like to read more about this, you can over at LouisianaSports.net. There's a whole practice report up for free there. But the 2-minute offense I thought was good. Nussmeier piloted a nice drive in the 2-minute. Checked the ball down to Caden Durham early. I liked a really good play to Bauer Sharp over the middle. Sharp made a diving catch right near the mark for the first down. Nobody really knew if it was first down or not. The chain gang doesn't have a real chain. They have a line of scrimmage and a 10-yard mark, and they didn't really know if it was a first down or not, and that kind of ticked off Joe Sloan and Brian Kelly, who yelled at the chain gang to get it in gear because they were indecisive about whether or not it was a first down. That gave me a chuckle. But it was close to a first down. We'll call it a first down. Then they got it to about the 30-yard line, and Nussmeier threw a fade route to Berrien Brown down the right sideline. He made a great sliding catch on the right sideline midway through the end zone. I thought he was out of bounds. It looked like he was. It doesn't matter. It was a great catch and a great throw over the top. If it was a foot out of bounds, 3 inches out of bounds, or inbounds, either way, really good throw and catch. And it was good to see Berrien Brown do that after the gimpy ankle situation. But that was a really good throw, and the whole offense just ran down there and mobbed Brown for a touchdown. They got a big kick out of that. So very, very good play by the offense. And I thought a good 2-minute drill from those guys. LSU should be pretty good in the 2-minute drill this year with the amount of weapons and a fifth-year quarterback. It looked pretty good efficiently today. Couple of notes on personnel. We did see Paul Mabenga play some left guard as well as DJ Chester, so those guys are rotating in and out. Did see Devon Keys with the ones at linebacker in place of West Weeks. He was out there with Witt and Harold Perkins. We saw on the defensive tackle front with the starters, it was Bernard Gooden and Jacobian Guillory today. And also, Mansour Delane was opposite P.J. Woodland and DJ Pickett and Ashton Sams. All of them rotated through with the ones with Delane on the other side. Apparently, Delane had an awesome day with 2 interceptions back on Saturday. So to me, a continuation of some really good effort, some really good intensity, even though the pads weren't popping today. They weren't on. But I also really liked LSU's the ability of both teams to throw punches. The offense and the defense are both doing some really good things day in and day out, and I like the balance that we've seen thus far. So that's my look at practice today. You can go back and check out our report at LouisianaSports.net. When we come back, let's shift gears to the Saints. They were on the field yesterday. I was at church yesterday. Saw a dad and a young daughter, probably younger than Keller, who's 5 months, in Saints gear. I think South Louisiana is ready to watch the Hoodats, and they were on display yesterday. I'll give you my thoughts next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Genesis of Baton Rouge. GenesisofBatonRouge.com is the website. Every car that's on the lot is online at GenesisofBatonRouge.com. America's best warranty. That's what they're calling it. A powertrain warranty, 10 years, 100,000 miles. How about their new vehicle warranty? 5 years, 60,000 miles, bumper to bumper. That's industry leading. Talking about an enhanced 24/7 roadside assistant. That's 5 years, unlimited miles. You need help on the side of the road, you can get that help because you're a Genesis driver. And, of course, your complimentary scheduled maintenance that can be valet. 3 years, 36,000 miles. Nobody wants to sit on the service aisle all morning long. You don't have to. If you're a Genesis driver, you just have them come pick it up. They service your vehicle, bring it back to you. You give them the loaner back, and you don't miss a beat. It's part of being that Genesis driver. It's a luxury brand at a reasonable price. They're on airline at PQ. You can find the entire inventory online at GenesisofBatonRouge.com. GenesisofBatonRouge.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
These ice cubes could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they cradle and cool the crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Nicely done, ice cubes.
Man, age is just a number. Don't let it dictate how you feel. Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness has anti-aging services that can help you look and feel your best. Visit yourgoodwood.com and discover a renewed sense of vitality.
We typically think of stress as being bad for us. At Our Lady of the Lake and LSU, we are researching how certain types of stress, such as exercise, can be good for our immune health. By studying people under extreme stress, such as athletes, astronauts, service members, and first responders, we're learning how to improve the immune health of everyone. That's the power of research. That's the impact of champions. Together, we roar.
At Luba Workers' Comp, our journey began over 30 years ago with a simple belief. Our clients come first.
At Luba, our business has always been focused on people, not policies.
Through every success and challenge, we've continued to grow because we've stayed true to our values, committed to providing you with genuine dependability.
Because your well-being is more than a priority. It's our purpose.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
All right. Saints and Chargers yesterday from SoFi out in SoCal. Final score 27-13. Who really cares about that? Nobody does. I gave you a lot of things that I was looking for on Friday, and I was excited to sit down and watch the Saints, and I watched almost every snap. We had a 3.5-year-old who got a little bit cranky early in the fourth quarter, had to go outside and throw the football a little bit. So I can't say I saw every snap, but I saw a lot of snaps, okay? And I will give you my thoughts. And the first one is in lockstep with what I said on Friday. I said, look, you're trying to establish a running game, and you know Kamara's not going to play, so you're going to get to see some young running backs, some inexperienced running backs, some new running backs, and you've got two quarterbacks that you're going to get substantial looks to, and they need to be able to function in the offense. So for both of those evaluations to take place properly, the Saints' offensive line needs to dominate. I didn't know at that point how many Charger starters would start. I didn't know how long they would play. I just know that at some point they're not going to be out there, and I figured the Saints' starting offensive line would be out there in some capacity. Okay, dominate the point of attack, and let's try to get some things going offensively. That didn't happen. The Saints offensive line stunk yesterday. Now, I know you had 2 injuries. I know McCoy didn't play. I know there are some extenuating circumstances, but on the whole, largely with Ruiz out there, with Banks out there, with Fuaga out there, started with Penning out there, it was bad. They did not run the ball at all. They ran it 20 times for 61 yards. The long on the day was 11 from Spencer Rattler. The longest run from a Saints running back was 8 yards. That's poor. And I thought Spencer Rattler was kind of running for his life. Like, I did not think Spencer Rattler had a good opportunity to sit in the pocket and try to get the ball down the field. I thought some of the times he got the ball out and there was some nice rhythm to check the ball down, and that's why you complete 7 passes for 53 yards. But I did not think that Spencer Rattler had time to operate the offense the way that Kellen Moore would like him to operate it. And that, to me, is so disappointing when you consider that you had some starters out there and the Chargers did go to some backup defensive linemen. So that was a huge problem. And it makes it more difficult to evaluate the quarterbacks, which I'll get to in a second. But I have to go back to this, like, I know your all-pro candidate didn't play in the middle, and you got Penning that's working, and you had the Clapp injury early, like there were injuries on the offensive line, and I got it, but like that is supposed to be one of the strengths and the foundations of this team moving forward. And if the Saints find out that Penning can't play, and you're not very good at right guard either, and Ruiz is not any good, and Banks has his struggles as a rookie, which is almost inevitable at this point, like, you're going to struggle to get anything done on offense because you know you're not going to be dynamic at quarterback. Like, that's just not going to happen. You're not going to have a Jaden Daniels type impact on a quarterback. You need those guys to be in an advantage spot. And if you can't run the ball, which they didn't yesterday, and you can't protect, which they didn't yesterday, it's just going to be a nightmare. But I thought Rattler was okay. I thought he did okay. He missed one throw on a slant, got the ball behind, but I thought he was okay. He wasn't great. He didn't do anything special. I thought he was okay. And then Shook came out there, and like you're going to see the 2 highlights more than anything. The first, the pick 6, which was an awful read and a bad decision. You could just see it. It was one of those rare pick 6s where the ball never leaves the screen. Like, the defense never left the screen. As he released it, you saw the corner was jumping underneath the route, and he picked it, and it was an easy get up and go score. So you're going to see that a lot, and it was bad. But the touchdown pass was very good. It was well thrown. It was the right read. Mason Tipton has been a big play guy for 2 camps in a row. He made a big play, 54-yard touchdown. You like that. But for the most part, outside of those 2 highlights, I thought Shook was decent. I think that's the word I would use. I didn't think he looked flustered or panicked or like that. The interception was a bad read. It wasn't out of panic. And if you go back and look at Tyler Shook at Louisville, you will see panic at times. Just inexplicably bad decisions that you just can't have. And I didn't see any of that yesterday. I saw a guy that was in command. I saw a guy that was fairly decisive, and I saw a guy that threw a nice ball. Again, he had to run for his life a little bit. He had no running game to help him either, but I thought he was okay. Moving on to the rest of the team, Kendre Miller got 6 carries, had a long of 8. I thought he looked pretty good on the 8-yard run. I thought he looked pretty explosive. I liked some of the things I saw from him. And then on defense, obviously, you got a great rush there from Christian Boyd to force what looked like a safety. Turned out he was at the 1-yard line. I thought that was the right call, but a very good rush there. I thought that Danny Stutzman looked really good. I was stunned when I saw the stat sheet after the game. He only had 3 tackles. I feel like I noticed all 3 of the tackles, and he's a little bit more athletic than I gave him credit for. I felt like in Oklahoma, I studied him in Oklahoma. They played LSU, and I was covering that game, and I studied that. He looked just like a kind of a thumper who was limited athletically. He looks a little quicker on that NFL field. The game moves faster. And I like the way that he looked there. Jalen Ford, I thought, had a nice game. And then, of course, Isaiah Stallbird led LSU led the Saints in tackles with 8. Had a great tackle for loss where he was full speed coming downhill. That's a guy that I like him at linebacker, and they need some linebacker depth to step forward, and that looked pretty good. I thought the secondary was borderline great. Like, Trey Lance didn't really have anywhere to throw the ball. He was running the whole game, and I thought the Saints did a good job of covering, and I wanted to see that in the game yesterday. So there was some good, there was some not good. I'm more so disheartened by the offensive line play than I am encouraged by any of that stuff that I said. Because even some of the guys I'm talking about there, you talk about Stutzman, speak to, Christian Boyd, Mason Tipton. These guys that I'm mentioning don't feel like they're going to be huge impact guys. The guys they put out there on the offensive line are huge impact guys who have to play better. So that leaves a bitter taste from that game. But look, the Chargers are a quality defense with good defensive coaching. They were the best scoring defense in the NFL last year. Probably a good start for the Saints here to get those guys first. And hopefully they get more playing time and show some more production moving forward. I need that offensive line to gel together and to be better. They got to stay out of the training room. They've got to stay healthy, and we'll kind of see what happens moving forward with some of those guys. But they got to do a better job of blocking, because if that falters, the rest of this feels pretty insignificant, because you're not going to run the ball, can't protect the passer, you're not going to be able to complete passes, you're going to turn the ball over, and you're going to lose a ton of games. If they can't block better than what you saw last night, it's big trouble. So those young quarterbacks need help, and right now they didn't get it in the game on Sunday night. So that's your Saints talk for today. May get back into it a little bit in the second hour. If you're looking for Saints coverage, Ross Jackson's doing an amazing job on LouisianaSports.net. All of it's free. He's out there in Southern California with the Saints right now. If you're looking for my Saints coverage, Hunt on Saints, wherever you find your podcasts. Like, subscribe, rate, and review. Hunt on Saints, all your Saints needs. All right, we'll step aside. When we come back, let's talk some tendinitis. Jeremy Burnham is next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
When it comes to industrial construction, River Parish Contractors can do it all. Mechanical, structural, custom fabrication, specialized welding, and turnaround services. Strategically located in between Baton Rouge and New Orleans, we have the local team with the experience and commitment to safety to manage the most complex industrial projects. Period. Here's the deal. Partnering with us means your project is delivered on time, on budget, and most important, safely. River Parish Contractors, let's get building.
These are the luckiest ice cubes in the world. They could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they've been called upon to cradle and cool a crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Looks like the lucky just got luckier. Dos Equis.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
ED, low T, or simply seeking to optimize your health and performance? Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness offers a range of discreet services to address your specific needs. We empower men to reclaim their health and confidence. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
When it comes to choosing energy for your family and your home, make the smart choice with natural gas. You can count on efficient and affordable natural gas to keep you comfortable and reduce your environmental impact to help protect our planet. Together, we're fueling our energy future. Atmos Energy.
We came up with the idea of auctions in August.
Gulf Coast Bank does all the work. We display the item, we prominently feature it in social media, on our website, but we do it because it's the right thing to do for the community.
It's not just a game, it's a religion. You've got your team colors, team swag, and now your very own website, LouisianaSports.net. Everything LSU, Saints, and Pelicans. Sports on demand. In-depth coverage by sports writing pros with continuously updated news. And with the LouisianaSports.net newsletter, you get pinged directly with top trending stories. Best of all, now and always, no paywall. It's free. LouisianaSports.net, powered by 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Your home for Louisiana sports.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
All right, closing out hour number one, as we do every other Monday. It's time for Sports Health, presented by Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Welcome in Dr. Jeremy Burnham. He's the medical director of sports medicine at Ochsner, section head of orthopedic surgery. Dr. Burnham, how are you?
I'm doing great, Hunt. Thanks for having me. It's a great afternoon. Football's getting closer and closer, so I think it's a good time of the year.
It is ever so close at this point, just less than 3 weeks away. Tendinitis, kind of the word of the weekend here in Baton Rouge, and obviously we won't talk specifics, but I want to speak in generalities about tendinitis, because when I think tendinitis, I think like a 48-year-old golfer whose elbow's barking at him when he's on the 13th tee. You're obviously an expert in the matter. What can you tell us about tendinitis in general?
Well, I mean, I think you bring up a good point. Tendinitis is probably a little more common, or we'll think of it as being more common in adults as you get older. You start getting these aches and pains. A lot of times you get told it's tendinitis, but tendinitis or tendon issues also occur in young athletes too, especially at high levels. If you think about what you're putting yourself through as a professional athlete, collegiate athlete, or a high-level athlete, it's a lot of demand on your tendon. And tendinitis usually occurs whenever there's repetitive motion to a specific tendon over and over time. And so your body is always in a balance between breaking itself down and building itself back up. It's a homeostasis. And so for some reason, when you get tendinitis or tendon issues, it's usually because the balance is out of whack. And so that recurrent activity just never gave your body a chance to catch up.
Is it anything structural generally, or more so just inflammation and a little bit of discomfort?
You know, a lot of times it starts off, that's a great question. It starts off with something I tell patients a lot of times it's like a micro tear. So there may be some tears in there that you wouldn't see if you got an MRI. Maybe you would just see some inflammation. But if you really were to get in there with a magnifying glass, you would find these microscopic tears. And so that's where it starts. Now, sometimes it develops over the course of a year or 2 years. It will turn into a more structural problem. And so I think that probably 80 to 90% of these tendon issues are treated effectively with a very specific type of physical therapy and other types of non-surgical means. But there are occasionally a small group of patients that need to have surgery to repair that structural defect. There's also something called PRP, and you'll see that utilized a lot in sports. And PRP is where you take your own blood and you draw out the growth factors and you concentrate those and you inject those back into the tendon. And that's a common treatment for tendon issues as well, because you're just trying to jumpstart the body's process and get it start healing that tendon again.
I mean, I would imagine rest is probably the best deal, but that may not be doable for someone who's trying to play in a football season. So is it just consistent, constant care and therapy that kind of can alleviate? Is that what you're kind of looking at?
Yeah, you're right. I mean, I think if you're in season, it's a little bit different than if you have the flexibility of being able to take a break. However, I still, for my patients, don't ask them to completely rest. There's actually a type of exercise called isometric exercise, which is where you're flexing the muscle and holding it in a specific position. And that's actually the best thing that you can do. So if you have tendonitis of the knee, just straighten your knee out, flexing that quad muscle and holding that for 30 seconds at a time with or without weights, whatever you can tolerate, like on a knee extension machine. And that will actually a lot of times trigger that tendon to start regenerating itself. But you do a lot of times need to try to back down from the level of activity that you were at before. Now, if you're an in-season athlete and you don't have any structural problems, then I think that it is completely normal to kind of work through there. You're just trying to control the symptoms, and you know that it may take a little bit longer to get ready. If you have the flexibility to dial it back some, then oftentimes that's advised. But like I said, you really want to be proactive about doing the right types of exercises to get it better as well.
This is every case is different. I understand when I ask you questions like these, but just for your expert opinion, like, is this something that generally lingers, or is it something that improves?
I think if you catch it early, I find that patients can turn the corner pretty quick. I think if there's something that's been going on for several months or a year or two, and it's just not responding to all these different treatments, but I think when it gets noted and gets addressed, and you're doing all the right types of things, that people actually get better, and it doesn't necessarily have to linger. And so I always tell people the prognosis is very positive for this. If you hit it from all directions and you catch it and you know what's going on, then you can totally get this thing better and have it not bother you in the future.
I know that high school football practices are cranking up. The season is just around the corner for those folks as well. And no matter if you're a high school athlete or an adult, if you're looking for a place to go, I know Elite is awesome. Tell us what's new over there at Elite.
Well, I think, from the timing with the sports coming up, we just did our sideline summer school skills competency. And so our athletic trainers within Ochsner, they led a class last Friday afternoon for all of our docs, our PAs, our physical therapists, other athletic trainers, where we worked on things like spine boarding. If that instance ever came up, we talked about things like heat exhaustion, about how to recognize concussion. And so really just doing a refresher course for anybody that's going to be on the sidelines. We have 20 to 25 athletic trainers throughout the region that are keeping all the kids safe out there. Speaking of tendonitis, we have direct access for physical therapy now. You can go to doctors.ochsner.org, and you can actually just click the physical therapy specialty. And so if you think you have tendonitis and you don't want to get a doctor's appointment for it, you can actually schedule directly with the physical therapist if you want to. So there's multiple modalities to get that checked out and get treated.
Dr. Burnham, that's awesome. We appreciate the time. We'll talk in a couple of weeks. We'll have real football, and by that point.
That's right. Talk to you soon, huh? Thank you.
That's Dr. Jeremy Burnham with Ochsner. Look, at Ochsner, they do so many things. Such a great resource here for our community in Baton Rouge at the Andrews Orthopedic and Sports Medicine Institute. They know that sports injuries can be unpredictable, but the situation you can protect yourself from is heat illness. It's still the middle of summer, and heat illness is something that we see all the time. Some key signs to look for include excessive sweating, dry mouth, dizziness, fast heart rate, or change in mental status. Feel any of these symptoms, stop physical activity immediately. Find a place to cool off and replenish fluids if you can. To learn more about sports injury prevention and treatment, visit ochsner.org/brortho. Look, I think that was great information from Dr. Burnham. Obviously, we can't speak to specifics here, and none of us know the significance of Garrett Nussmeier's injury. We know that it's been reported by LSU that it's tendonitis. That's not us speculating on that at all. Brian Kelly talking about it. We know, we go out to practice, we're reporting directly that Garrett Nussmeier is out there. He's got a sleeve on his knee, and he's going through drills. And I don't think it's irresponsible at all for us to kind of talk about what that could be like. And Dr. Burnham specializes in knees, among other things, and so he can't speak to that direct case and wouldn't even if he could. But it's something that LSU has caught early, because I was at practice last week and Garrett Nussmeier didn't have a sleeve on his knee. So this is not something that's been lingering for a long time directly. Something happened in practice. He went down. As Brian Kelly said, it peed off his knee. Like, it was not good. But he's going to be able to continue to practice, which he has Saturday and today. And do I think he's 100%? No. Do I think that's probably a little bit annoying as he gets ready for his final year? Yeah. Was I concerned talking to some people on Saturday about whether or not the injury or the illness or the situation was not great? Yeah. Do I feel better today being there firsthand watching practice? Yeah. Garrett Nussmeier did not miss one rep today. Went through every rep, full speed, and even once took off and run. There was a point, this is widely reported, not anything that's sourced at all. Those that were practice, Chris Marler, who wrote it in our practice report, you can listen to any podcast for practice on Saturday. He did go down on the sideline on Saturday at one point and really was gimpy going back to the huddle. That may be something that's part of this early portion. But hopefully they can continue to treat it with physical therapy, continue to do whatever it is that they're going to do, and his knee will continue to improve as he moves forward. Because make no mistake, they need that guy in a big, big way, obviously. That's it for hour number one here on this Monday. We'll pause for Sports International headlines. Still got to meet the freshmen, talk a little bit more Saints, and Blake Baker met with the media. All of it next on The Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
One Bath and Closets. OneBathAndClosets.com is the website. David Duvall and his team, 30 years redesigning and remodeling bathrooms and closets. They can do a full-scale bathroom renovation if that's something you'd like to do. Maybe you refinanced 3-4 years ago. You love your interest rate. You're not going anywhere. But house is aging a little bit. Things just don't look quite the way they once did. You want a renovation, but you don't want to move. Well, that's easy. David Duvall and his team can do it. They can do it start to finish. You don't have to call 4 different contractors to get it done. You make one call to one contractor, One Bath and Closets. They're licensed, they're bonded, they're insured, and David's been doing this for better than 3 decades. He can help you transform your bathroom into something customized and bring it to life. Check out the website, OneBathAndClosets.com. See pictures of their great work. Get that free consultation and start your process today. It's David Duvall and One Bath and Closets. You can find them online and get that free consultation at OneBathAndClosets.com.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Baton Rouge's home for real rock. It's Eagle 98.1. Foo Fighters. Led Zeppelin. AC/DC. Pearl Jam. And the flagship home for LSU sports. Take us anywhere with the Eagle 98.1 app. Eagle 98.1 is the rock station.
Today, we are shaping tomorrow.
We are researching how extreme stress impacts the immune system, from trauma victims to athletes and even astronauts.
Our work is leading the way in sepsis treatment, saving countless lives.
We're unlocking the mind with music in exciting new ways.
Our Lady of the Lake Health and LSU are improving the health of our state.
That's the impact of champions.
Imagine the impact we'll have on the future. Together, we roar.
Hi, this is Beth Serena. Welcome to my pool. The first time I saw this beautiful pool, it exceeded every expectation that I had. They were able to get everything we wanted in this pool. It is a beautiful pool. We live out here, we eat out here, we watch TV out here. This is like our living room outside. We love this pool and everything about it. When we decided to build our pool, we called a great friend who is one of the best pool builders in the country in North Louisiana, and we said, who would you choose to build a pool in Baton Rouge? And without a hesitation, he told us Russell Pools. He said their history, tradition of great builds, great pools was unmatched. So of course, who did we call? Russell Pools. The advice I would give to anyone looking to build a pool is first call Russell Pools. They'll do an incredible job. It'll be incredibly organized. It'll be time efficient, and you will have your pool in no time.
At Ochsner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972. Service.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Doug Brown. It's close, but Texas is number one in the preseason Associated Press media poll. The Longhorns are just 6 points ahead of number 2 Penn State. That's the closest vote in 27 years. The reigning champs are third, Ohio State, followed by Clemson and Georgia. The first full weekend of the NFL preseason opened some eyes, like ESPN's Chris Canty looking at Browns rookie quarterback Shedeur Sanders.
Those guys on that Browns sideline believe in Shedeur Sanders as much as Shedeur believes in himself. And if he can galvanize that locker room in that way from what we saw Friday night, this Cleveland Browns team is going to be a hell of a lot better than people expect.
Chris Canty on Unsportsmanlike. Lions safety Maurice Norris is back with the team and in concussion protocol. Norris got hurt trying to make a tackle on the first play of the fourth quarter Friday night against the Falcons. ESPN's Adam Schefter reports Dolphins running back Alexander Mattison will miss the season after neck surgery today in Chicago.
Hey, it's Evan Cohen. Coming up Tuesday, is Shedeur Sanders already the face of the Browns franchise? And if so, is that a good thing for Cleveland? It's on Sportsmanlike 6 a.m. Eastern right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
Now, the Hunt Palmer Show.
Yes! I feel like I've been waiting for this my entire life.
You're listening to the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Jolly good fun. Jolly good.
Locking down the middle of the day.
America's favorite daytime fun show.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
Hour 2, Monday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Appreciate you starting your work week with us. Hope it's off to a good start. We took the first day of school Palmer kids pictures on the front porch today. I am not sure they went great. The sun was beaming right in the 3.5-year-old and 5-month-old's eyes. Neither one of them's really going to school. They're going to daycare. But no one cried, and we got the pictures taken, and I guess that part of it was success. We got to find a better place to take the pictures, though, because you can't just have kids staring into their retinas were being burned by the sun. And I'm confident that there are many men driving around right now who also stood behind their wives who were adamant these pictures had to be taken and went, this could be done a little differently, I feel like. But we got them done today, and the kiddos went to the same daycare today, which is big. Palmer's have been doing double drop-off and double pickup over the last 3 months. But now we got them both in the same place. So we're set up for the school year. I hope you are as well. And again, appreciate you hanging out with us here on ESPN Baton Rouge. This is a redo segment from last week. If you remember last week, I did a segment, and I ranked LSU. It's actually 2 segments. I ranked LSU's position groups 1 through 10. And this was from a story that I did last Sunday. So we had been to practice like 4 times. I've been to practice 3 more times since, and they've had 5 more practices since. So in a way, things could have shifted. But I do this as a redo segment because I'm catching a lot of heat on Instagram. And I'll run through the rankings just to refresh, and then we'll talk about how things have, first of all, why I made the decision I made then, and why people were going nuts a week later. So I put edge rusher at number 1, and I wouldn't move edge rusher off number 1. I think LSU's edge players are awesome. I think they're deep. I think they're talented. I think they're versatile. I think they have different skill sets. I think they're really, really good at edge. I put that 1, and I feel good about it. I put wide receiver at 2. And I still feel every bit as good about wide receiver as I did last weekend. I think Chris Hilton is a stud. I think Aaron Anderson is proven to be a top-tier SEC wide receiver. And I think Barry and Brown and Kyle Parker and Nick Anderson and Xavier Thomas and all these guys are going to be really, really good for Garrett Nussmeier in this passing offense. So I'm good with him at 2. And then at 3, you've got Nussmeier, who I put him there. I said this when I did the segment. I was like, hey, this is because he's a star. I know the backups are not doing a great job, but that's okay. This is a one-guy position if you're healthy. You don't have to rotate guys through or keep guys fresh. You don't need a ton of depth unless you get hurt. And he's great. So I've got him at 3, and I don't feel any differently about that. If you heard the first hour of the show today, you know I'm not moving tight end off of 4 because I think Trey'Dez Green is a star, and I think Bauer Sharp's had an awesome camp. And I have no reason to move there. And that group, 1 through 4, edge, wide receiver, quarterback, tight end, I think is awesome. Like, I have no concerns about that outside of the second-team quarterback. And to be candid, if you get to your second-team quarterback, most teams aren't going to do very well. See Georgia last year. Cardale Jones' Ohio State team is an aberration. But as I get through this, like, I have safety at 5. I still feel great about safety. I think that A.J. Halsey is going to be very good. And I think you have, at that point, 4 other players, and you have to produce 1 good player. Like, if you take Halsey as a starter, then I need one of these guys to be a really good player. Tamarcus Cooley, Jordan Gilbert, Javian Toviano, Deshaun Spears. Like, if one of those dudes is good, then safety, I think you're in really good shape. I got linebacker at 6. I might flip that up in front of safety now because I think that West Weeks has played really well. But, like, Perkins is coming off injury. He looks awesome right now, but it feels like a long time ago he was a freshman making all of his plays. Feels a long time ago he was a freshman spying Bryce Young. I think linebacker's going to be really good. I still haven't gotten to a position I've got a lot of question marks on. I got running back at 7. Caden Durham's had an awesome camp. Awesome camp. Caleb Jackson's caught the ball pretty well. He's lost a little bit of weight. They're mixing in Harlan Berry a little bit. And Juwan Johnson is playing running back now. So you've taken JT Lindsay out. He turned himself in for that charge. And we'll see what his fall looks like. I don't know. This is not a legal segment. This is a football segment. We'll talk about the guys that are on the practice field. It's Caden Durham, Caleb Jackson, Harlan Berry, Juwan Johnson. And I feel good about that. It's at 7, but I feel good about it. And Durham is a proven commodity. He's going to run for 1,000 yards this year. Then you get to 8, 9, 10. And this is where I start taking heat. I put quarterback at 8. Cornerback at 8. I thought Ashton Stance has had a really good go early on in camp. Mansour Delane had 2 picks on Saturday. DJ Pickett is mixing things up a little bit. He's in position. He's being physical. PJ Woodland's made some plays on the ball. Like, it's not what it has been in the past, but I feel good about it. And I'm getting absolutely roasted on Instagram for having defensive tackle at 9. Keep in mind, when I did this, we were like 3 practices into seeing Bernard Gooden. And he's been better than that since. Like, he made another tackle for loss today with no pads on. He wasn't dominant on Saturday, but he's been dominant most of the time. And I know a lot of folks are really high on Dominic McKinley, and I'm not telling you not to be high on Dominic McKinley at all. And a lot of folks are really high on Ahmad Bro, and I'm not telling you not to be high on Ahmad Bro. And then you got Jacobian Guillory back from an Achilles injury. You got Sadir Mitchell, and then you can move Jack Pyburn in there, which they've done when you feel like you're at a little bit more of a pass rush situation. So the depth there is really, really good. But I'm getting crushed for having defensive tackle at number 9. And here's my case for that. First of all, some position has to be number 9. I think everybody's okay if I put offensive line at 10. Nobody's ranting and raving about that. And hopefully they're better than that. But somebody's got to be 9. Not everybody can be in the top 4. So to be number 9 doesn't mean you suck. Like, that doesn't mean you have a terrible position group. It means that the ones in front of you I find to be stronger at this point. And I say that because Bernard Gooden has only played in the American, and every rep he takes right now in camp is against what I perceive to be the weakest link on the team. So I'm not ready to anoint him an All-American, although I hope I'm dead wrong and he is an All-American. Ahmad Bro and Dominic McKinley are on a track to be great players at LSU. And I'm not just suggesting they won't be great players at LSU. But Jacoby Guillory's coming off a torn Achilles, and he's been a role player for 5 years now. So you don't have anything proven at that position. Upside? Yeah. Depth? Absolutely. Position coach we really like? Yep. Some flashes in camp. More than flashes. Great. But am I ready to put them over running back at 7? No, not with Caden Durham there. Linebacker? I'm going to put him over linebacker? No. Whit Weeks is an All-American. Harold Perkins is an All-American. You got West Weeks and Devon Keys. Tylen Singleton's played great. Like, no. Safety? I'm not. Not the way Halsey's played. So, I think when people read this list, and the reason that the Instagram comments have gone nuts, and I've gotten comments on Instagram and I've gotten comments on Twitter saying, hey, this is dead wrong. You're nuts. I think people read the list and go, 9th. He says the defensive tackles stink. He clearly isn't paying attention. Every day I read the practice reports, it says the defensive tackles are blowing up everybody. They're dominating the scrimmage. He's an idiot. I may be an idiot, but that's not what I'm saying. Now, if you gave me a mulligan, this is now 8 days since I wrote the story. 8 days, that's 4 or 5 practices that I've seen now where things are a little bit different. I would probably swap defensive tackle and cornerback, which would put corner at 9 and defensive tackle at 8. But still, Stamps and Delane have more skins on the wall at the Power 4 level than anybody at defensive tackle that LSU's got. And defensive tackles are still working against the weakest link on the team, and the corners are going against what I rank as the second unit on the team every practice. So I'm not even convicted in that move. I might make that move 8 days later. I don't think I'm being unreasonable. I thought that it was a sincere ranking, and then I get called out in the Instagram ranks to go, oh, you're just chasing name recognition, just clickbait. Like, well, I don't make any cash if you click on the Instagram reel. That's not how it works. It's not how the old pay scale's set up. So again, I might make some minor adjustments a week later and move defensive tackle up to 8, but like suggesting they should go ahead of linebacker or tight end, like, no, I don't think so. I'm very hopeful LSU's defensive line is dominant, but I feel better about the edges because of the proven nature of that group as opposed to the tackles where they look very good right now, but is that just because LSU is weak at offensive guard? Remains to be seen. I appreciate those for reading and for paying attention on Instagram and for commenting and for calling me out and interacting. I appreciate all that. But I do want to take a chance to state my case, and I just don't think it's ridiculous to rank the defensive tackles down towards the bottom because there's just not a lot proven. I'll tell you to close this segment out what I could say to doubt the defensive tackles and what I would actually say if pressed to be truthful. This would be the clickbait version of defensive tackle. Okay. Gooden is 275 pounds. He's maybe at under 270. He's been beaten up on the American, and he's taken the lunch of DJ Chester, who struggled last year. Ahmad Bro was just a freshman last year, didn't make a ton of plays in the backfield. Dom McKinley is 6'6" and is a 5-star, but didn't do a ton last year because he was hurt. Jacoby Guillory is a 6th-year player who's never made a lot of plays and is coming off an Achilles tear. Sadir Mitchell didn't play at Texas for a couple of years. Sean Washington hadn't played much in college. Like, not a lot of skins on the wall. Like, that would be a clickbait thing to say. What I really feel is I think Gooden is a playmaker in the right spot, which is pass rushing downs. I think McKinley's got all the potential in the world that has to manifest itself. I think Jacoby Guillory is a good space eater that won't make a lot of plays, but certainly has a role on this team. And I think Kyle Williams is going to coach these guys up with significant help from the edges where LSU is going to be very good, that they're going to be a good defensive line. They're going to be a good defensive tackle group. And if you told me to re-rank the team, position group by position group, 1 through 10, I'd probably put them at 7 instead of 8. I'd probably put them at 8 instead of 9. That's where I think they probably rank. And I think that's just being honest. But hopefully, it's a dominant group. I would love that. And it would take LSU closer to a championship if that is actually the case. Just defending myself a little bit for my ranking from last weekend. All right, let's keep things moving. Blake Baker, LSU defensive coordinator, met with the media today. We also have to meet the freshmen. We'll do all that when we come back.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Genesis of Baton Rouge. GenesisofBatonRouge.com. Every car that's on the lot is online at GenesisofBatonRouge.com. You know, one of the things that makes Genesis different is the people that work there. If you stop by the dealership, Airline at Piku, and you just have a conversation with one of their brand ambassadors, you'll feel at home. You'll feel like a guest, not a customer. I know a lot of folks end up on a car lot and you feel like you're being pressured. You're being upsold. You're being pushed and forced. That's never going to happen at Genesis. They're going to treat you like a guest. They're there to help. They want to help you through the buying process. You can start the process yourself at GenesisofBatonRouge.com. Every car that is on the lot's online, so you can go through the entire inventory. GV80 is their best seller. Mid-size SUV. It is a gorgeous vehicle. I got behind one of them 2 weeks ago. Just awesome. So go by and see them and just talk through the process. I promise you'll be impressed with the facility, the line of vehicles, and the staff. Every car, 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty. That's your powertrain warranty. And as I mentioned in the first hour, you're talking about a 5-year, 60,000-mile bumper-to-bumper warranty. That's industry leading. It's Genesis of Baton Rouge. Go by and see them, Airline at Piku. GenesisofBatonRouge.com.
Man, age is just a number. Don't let it dictate how you feel. Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness has anti-aging services that can help you look and feel your best. Visit yourgoodwood.com and discover a renewed sense of vitality.
Businesses like yours are the soul of our community. You deserve someone who'll deliver the internet services you deserve. That's why local businesses rely on Rev Business, 90 years of building connections. Visit us at letsrev.biz.
Looking for the ultimate game day experience? Come to the Queen Casino in Baton Rouge. Wall-to-wall TVs mean you'll see every touchdown in HD. Place your bets and feel the thrill of every play with our DraftKings Sportsbook. The Queen Casino, where every moment is a win.
There it is, the extra mile. On the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further. Like vans customized for work or play. With safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
At Atmos Energy, our Smart Choice solutions help customers save energy and emissions with rebates up to $500 off high-efficiency natural gas appliances, smart thermostats, and weatherization upgrades. Together, we're fueling our energy future.
It's not just a game, it's a religion. You've got your team color, team swag, and now your very own website. LouisianaSports.net. Everything LSU, Saints, and Pelicans. Sports on demand. In-depth coverage by sports writing pros with continuously updated news. And with the LouisianaSports.net newsletter, you get pinged directly with top trending stories. Best of all, now and always, no paywall. It's free. LouisianaSports.net. Powered by 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Your home for Louisiana sports.
We typically think of stress as being bad for us. At Our Lady of the Lake and LSU, we are researching how certain types of stress, such as exercise, can be good for our immune health. By studying people under extreme stress, such as athletes, astronauts, service members, and first responders, we're learning how to improve the immune health of everyone. That's the power of research. That's the impact of champions. Together, we roar.
At Luba Workers' Comp, our journey began over 30 years ago with a simple belief. Our clients come first.
At Luba, our business has always been focused on people, not policies.
Through every success and challenge, we've continued to grow because we've stayed true to our values, committed to providing you with genuine dependability.
Because your well-being is more than a priority.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Reminder, you can get all the coverage you're looking for the Saints and LSU at louisianasports.net. Had just a monster week last week. Appreciate y'all for going over there and checking our stuff out. We got practice reports up. We've got columns and opinion up. Ross was out in Los Angeles for Saints practice as well as the preseason game, so he's got a column up, breakdown of both quarterbacks, lots of content, and it's all free. So if you want to head over there and check that out, you can do it. No pop-ups or article limits or subscription base. It's just free, just content for you, the Louisiana sports fan. Got tons of LSU and Saints content up there. LSU baseball got a commitment over the weekend, and I wrote that up on louisianasports.net. So no matter what you're looking for, we've got you covered over there at louisianasports.net. All right, let's meet the freshmen.
Meet the freshmen. Freshmen, meet the freshmen. They're the newest Tigers on the team.
Actually knew I was going to do this segment today, so I made a point to look at the two guys that I was going to talk about. And we start with Philip Wright III, Destrehan wide receiver, a 4-star recruit who was a top 15 player in the state. If you look at the On3 ranking, he was number 12 in the state, a 4-star. Look at 24/7, he was number 10 player in the state. Listed in his high school recruiting profile at 5'11", 170. You look at where LSU has him listed, 6 feet, 175. That's about right. I was looking at him today. He is on the thin side, but he runs. He's so fast. He is such a fast wide receiver. And you look at him on the track in high school. He won the 2024 5A regional title in the 100 and the 200. He won a silver medal in the 2024 indoor 60 meter. He was clocked at the All-American Bowl showcase at 4.34 in the 40. I always take that with a grain of salt because these guys go to the combine 3 and 4 years later and very rarely run anything close to that. But still, the point remains, if they clock you at 4.34, you're moving. Whether or not that was exactly right on a laser time or not, you can really go. In the 100 meters, he was clocked at 10.46, ran a 21.41 in the 200. He is sensational in the track and is lightning fast with the ball in his hands. This is another guy, and I talked about Teron Francis last week, who was in last year's freshman class. They don't need him to go out there this year. They bring back Aaron Anderson. They bring back Kyle Parker. They bring back Chris Hilton, and then you go get Destin Hill, and you go get Barian Brown, and you go get Nick Anderson, and now all of a sudden you're like 6-7 deep of guys who have played the position who are older. So Philip Wright's deal this year is, hey, need you to come in, I need you to put on 10 pounds. I need next year in the spring, you probably need to be 6 feet to 185 and maintain that speed. And then once Aaron Anderson's gone, and Chris Hilton's gone, and Barian Brown's gone, and Nick Anderson's gone, and then you look up, and it's kind of like Kyle Parker, maybe Destin Hill, and the rest of the crew, you've got a lot of opportunity to come in and make some significant plays. And I think that's Philip Wright's trajectory at LSU. But to me, this is a guy from Destrehan. Destrehan's been very, very good to LSU over the years. He's from Shrewsbury, Louisiana, which I had never heard of. I asked some New Orleans folks about this. Apparently it's more of, like, they consider it more of a neighborhood than a town, but they'd certainly heard of it. I never heard of it. But Philip Wright's from there. Any way you slice it, just an absolute freak of nature with the ball in his hands in terms of his speed. And we know about speed. He's a guy that is going to be a very impactful playmaker for LSU down the line with that burst. So that's Philip Wright from Destrehan. He's number one on Meet the Freshman today. The second is Brandon Brown, defensive tackle from Melbourne, Florida. He is listed at 6'1", 295 on LSU's website. So good size there on the inside. Was a consensus 3-star from ESPN 24/7 and On3. Rivals did give him a 4th star, had him as number 23 defensive tackle in the country. But you look at On3, had him closer to 60 in the state of Florida, number 55 defensive tackle in the country. 24/7 has the number 43rd defensive tackle in the country. But a big, wide body. And again, another guy, you look at the picture that Cassie's got up that Bo Davis identified. Bo Davis, and this is something I talked about with Zion Williams as well when we did his Meet the Freshman last week. Bo Davis likes size and he likes big dudes in the middle of his defense. And I don't know if that's necessarily how Kyle Williams is going to play it. I think he's going to want guys who are a little bit quicker. I took a look at Brandon Brown today. It's a guy that is a big, big physical dude. He's in the Zion Williams mold. He's in the Jacoby and Guillory mold. That's what he looks like. He's not as big as Sadier Mitchell, who nobody out there is as big as Sadier Mitchell. But Brown is just he's a space eater, but he does have some quickness. If you look at his tape, he does get off the ball pretty well, and that's something that Bo Davis absolutely identified in him when they decided to bring him over from Melbourne, Florida. If you look at the offer list that he had, he was a guy that LSU eventually won out on with Bo Davis fairly late in the process. It had to be late with Bo Davis because Bo Davis didn't have a lot of time to evaluate guys. He had only been on campus for like a year. But they won out over some in-state schools in the state of Florida, and I know felt really good about him coming in, but it's the same thing I talked about with Kyle Williams. Like, does he have a path to the field with a defensive line coach who looks at it a little bit of a different way? I can't answer that question. I don't have to this year because I just routed off the 6 guys they're going to roll through a defensive tackle in front of these freshmen. But LSU brought in a big defensive line haul this year, and I'm curious to see how it shakes out over time because ultimately, generally, guys move on. I mean, Miami wanted this guy. Tennessee wanted this guy. Texas A&M wanted this guy. I mean, I think this was a very good get, and I think LSU should continue to develop him and work him through. We just won't know. We're not going to get our answer. There's going to be no immediate feedback on this because there are so many guys in front of these freshmen. That's a good thing. You don't want to ask freshman defensive linemen to jump in the deep end immediately. You want those guys to take some time to get in the weight room, to get stronger, to develop, and then to get their chance when they're second, third, fourth year players. We'll see. It takes a long time. In this day and age, we don't think of it that way because you just go in the portal and microwave the teams. But there was a time where you took defensive linemen in and said, hey, we'll see you in 18 months when you're physically ready to go, and that's when you'll make your mark. Brandon Brown fits that mold at this point. We'll see how things move forward. So that's your Meet the Freshman here on this Monday. Chugging right through. Blake Baker met with the media earlier today, had a lot of interesting things to do. We're going to go around a lot of the positions on the field. He talked about safety, talked about Harold Perkins, talked about a lot of the defense that he's going to put out there. And I'll tell you this, I like this defense. I think it's playing very well right now. We'll talk about that when we come back.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
These ice cubes could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they cradle and cool the crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Nicely done, ice cubes.
When it comes to industrial construction, River Parish Contractors can do it all. Mechanical, structural, custom fabrication, specialized welding, and turnaround services. Strategically located in between Baton Rouge and New Orleans, we have the local team with the experience and commitment to safety to manage the most complex industrial projects. Period. Here's the deal. Partnering with us means your project is delivered on time, on budget, and most important, safely. River Parish Contractors, let's get building.
At Atmos Energy, our smart choice solutions help customers save energy and emissions with rebates up to $500 off high-efficiency natural gas appliances, smart thermostats, and weatherization upgrades. Together, we're fueling our energy future.
Man, age is just a number. Don't let it dictate how you feel. Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness has anti-aging services that can help you look and feel your best. Visit yourgoodwood.com and discover a renewed sense of vitality.
BRAC teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered gold. Brack, your #1 park system in the nation.
Today, we are shaping tomorrow.
We are researching how extreme stress impacts the immune system, from trauma victims to athletes and even astronauts.
Our work is leading the way in sepsis treatment, saving countless lives.
We're unlocking the mind with music in exciting new ways.
Our Lady of the Lake Health and LSU are improving the health of our state.
That's the impact of champions.
Imagine the impact we'll have on the future. Together, we roar.
Hi, this is Beth Serena. Welcome to my pool. The first time I saw this beautiful pool, it exceeded every expectation that I had. They were able to get everything we wanted in this pool. It is a beautiful pool. We live out here, we eat out here, we watch TV out here. This is like our living room outside. We love this pool and everything about it. When we decided to build our pool, we called a great friend who is one of the best pool builders in the country in North Louisiana, and we said, who would you choose to build a pool in Baton Rouge? And without a hesitation, he told us Russell Pools. He said their history, tradition of great builds, great pools was unmatched. So of course, who did we call? Russell Pools. The advice I would give to anyone looking to build a pool is first call Russell Pools. They'll do an incredible job. It'll be incredibly organized. It'll be time efficient. And you will have your pool in no time.
We came up with the idea of auctions in August. Gulf Coast Bank does all the work. We display the item. We prominently feature it in social media.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Missed any of the first hour, catch it on demand wherever you find your sound. Had a lot to talk about with LSU's football practice today. Got to see a lot of action. Now, they did not have shoulder pads on, just a helmets practice, toned down the physicality the day after a big Saturday practice where they ran a lot of plays, did some tackling. Today was more of a recovery after Sunday. So Brian Kelly has got these guys on a pitch count. There's no question about it. He's not going to Les Miles 2-a-days, just running guys into the ground with 4-hour practices. Those days are long gone. You're talking about a different philosophy. And LSU has done so very healthily. Is that the word? They're healthy. And they're pretty rested, and they're getting a lot of work in. And Blake Baker talked after practice today. Here's the deal with this Blake Baker sound. I didn't go to Blake Baker today. I had to come back to the station and write the practice report, which you can read at louisianasports.net. And I didn't get a chance to listen to it because when I posted the practice report at louisianasports.net, I sat down to do a radio show. So Jacob Beck has some of this Blake Baker sound, and we're going to hear it together for the first time, and then I'm going to talk about what it is that I hear. So, Mr. Beck, I know that you're working through that sound over there currently. Is there any that you have available to toss my way at this current juncture?
Yeah, I do. I think the most interesting one, I guess, maybe to start with, somebody that you have talked about, a lot of people have talked about, though, Bernard Gooden. He's been really a force so far in camp. This is what Baker had to say about Bernard Gooden.
Bernard Gooden has been a joy in every sense of the word to coach. He is high energy. Y'all probably hear him more than anyone on the field. But in today's game, you even look in the NFL, there's not many, a lot of really, really successful defensive tackles are going to be between 280 and 305 pounds. The thing that he does really well, because he is so twitchy and has such good get off, his second foot's in the ground before the offensive lineman. So even though he might be giving up 30 pounds, he's able to get leverage and get power, and the offensive lineman doesn't have his second foot in the ground. So, one of the things that we did through the evaluation process, obviously being an undersized guy, is really evaluate him hard against the run. And we really liked what we saw, and we really, really like what we see up to this point. He's done a great job creating havoc and holding point.
So I have a lot of things to say about that. One, he's a joy for the defensive coaches to coach. I don't know that he's a joy for the offense right now because he does talk a lot. That guy is jawing and jawing and jawing. He and Garrett Nussmeier reportedly got into a little bit of a jaw off on Saturday. And there's just an edge to him. There's no doubt about it. And there's no problem with that as long as you're not getting 15-yard penalties. I don't care what you say. And he's backing it up. And one of the things that I think is important to note with Gooden, you talk about that get off, that first step, that get into the backfield, a lot of these plays that he is making are TFLs in the run game, not sacks. So he's getting sacks, but he also is getting tackles for loss in the run game. And you think about a 275-pound defensive tackle, 280-pound defensive tackle, whatever he's listed at, and you think, well, he's light in the run game. He's making plays in the run game. So, yeah, I agree with Blake Baker on all accounts there. I sincerely hope that we're not building up a bill of goods that Bernard Gooden can't live up to, because everybody who is listening to this radio station, who is reading practice reports, who is listening to podcasts, who is watching local news, who's paying attention to fall camp even a little bit, has been told Bernard Gooden's name time and time and time again. And your assumption is that he's going to make 3 plays in the backfield in the Clemson game. Like that's what you're thinking right now. And I have no reason to believe that's not going to happen, because we see it every day. We saw it again today. Pads, no pads, he gets back there and does it. But it is practice. It is working on LSU's offensive line. I can't be sure, but I can promise you this. We are not lying to you. He is making plays back there every single day. So that's an interesting comment from Blake Baker on Bernard Gooden, and one that I echo. What else we got back there, Peck?
All right, next one. This is something else that Bernard Gooden, I'm sure, will have an effect on. But Baker was asked about stopping the run, something they struggled with pretty handedly last year.
Yep.
And how they will progress in that this season.
You know, there's definitely some things that we're going to do different schematically to give our guys a better chance at that. You know, sometimes, and it's probably just something that I have to do a better job of, is understanding, how do I want to put this? I'll just leave it at that, making sure that we give them the tools necessary to stop the run, whether that be an extra hat, whatever the case may be.
Okay, that's a vanilla answer, but I have this to say about it after watching practice. If you look at what LSU was last year at defensive tackle, and you look at Ahmad Bro as a freshman, Dominic McKinley as a hurt freshman, and then you got Gio Paez kind of shifting down to play. He wasn't a big impact guy at Wisconsin and had a fine year last year, and then Paris Shand having to kick down a little bit as well. And you look at that defensive tackle rotation, which was serviceable, but certainly not effective. Like, not, that's the wrong word. Serviceable, but not dominant by any stretch of the imagination in any game. And you look at Bro and McKinley a year older, the way Gooden's playing, Guillory coming off injury but healthy. And then you consider what Pyburn has been at Florida, which is a proven 60-tackle SEC defensive lineman who can play edge and tackle. Personnel-wise, they're better. And you get Whitweeks back, who is a star at stopping the run. You get Westweeks. Devon Keys is a year older. Penn is an undrafted player who was a great team guy for you. Was he a dynamic playmaker on defense? I wouldn't go that far. So personnel-wise, you're better there. They've got to execute better and do some things differently. And I contend that they will. They've stopped the run very well in fall camp. They've given up some big plays, and Caden Durham's hit them for some big ones. But they have made more plays at and around the line of scrimmage than they have given up busts. That's for sure.
All right, next one. Speaking of more defensive line here, this is Baker speaking about Dom McKinley and how he has progressed from last year. Why he's a different player from what he was last year.
Yeah, I think he's a lot more confident. You know, obviously we didn't have him last spring, and it's hard. Some guys pick it up quicker, some don't. But when you haven't been here in spring and your first acclimatization is fall camp, sometimes it takes a little bit longer. And he's still making strides. He's improving every single day. But I think more than anything, if you were to ask any guy, too, you know, just year 2 in the scheme, he's not thinking about, what do I do on this call, what do I do on that call, which allows him to play faster and more confident. But, again, I think it's been talked about. Bruce Feldman's freak list, he was top 10 or whatever. The weight room, as much as anything, builds your confidence out there on the football field, and I think that's starting to show up.
Not only was he not an early enrollee, talking about McKinley, his first exposure was fall camp, and then he got hurt 2 weeks into fall camp and missed a bunch of time. He wasn't even available in the USC game. So you're behind some guys who enrolled early, and then you're even more behind because you don't have fall camp. And I talked about this because when you have a player come in and miss fall camp, it's just too hard to catch up because you're constantly preparing for a game. And so you can't get the reps you need. That's why when Solomon Thomas was going to miss a month starting August 1st, I'm going, well, like, he's not going to play this year. Because by the time he's ready to practice, they got to get ready to play Ole Miss. They got to get ready to play South Carolina. They're not going to give you spot reps here and there like they do in fall camp. And so it just puts you behind the 8 ball like McKinley was last year. And so I have not seen as many flashes from McKinley as many have this fall. My expectation for him is not like through the roof. I'm not like down on the kid at all, not even a little bit. A guy with that kind of talent, that kind of ability in the weight room, that kind of frame and profile, like I think he could be a star. I'm going to need to see that, and I'm anxious to do it. Hopefully that is the case. But he was behind the 8 ball as a freshman. That is inarguable at this point. Got 2 more?
Yeah. Next one. This is Baker talking about the transfers. Obviously, one of the bigger talking points with LSU's defense. They brought in a lot of guys from the transfer portal. So this is Baker talking about how those pieces LSU brought in this offseason will fit into his defense.
You know, part of the job of being a defensive coordinator is obviously fitting the scheme to your players. And every coordinator has specific things that they want to have the luxury to do, right? I think when you look across the board, I think it's twofold. I think from an overall athleticism standpoint, we've upgraded, and then also from a experience standpoint. We brought in, you know, like we've talked about 1,000 times, guys have played a lot of football. And I'll kind of leave it at that to get into too many specifics, but I think those are the 2 biggest generalizations.
That, to me, is a long-form way of saying the floor is really high on this group.
Yeah.
And I've said that since camp broke. I don't think A.J. Halsey, Mansour Delane, Jack Pyburn, Patrick Payton, I don't think any of those guys, Tamarcus Cooley, are going to show up and just bust. Like, these guys can't play at LSU. That just seems almost impossible. For Payton to put up those numbers at Florida State, for Pyburn to put up those numbers at Florida, for Delane to do what he did in 2 years starting at Virginia Tech, and then some of the reps he's put on tape in fall camp. Cooley, his versatility and size. Halsey, just ridiculous productivity at 2 different stops, New Mexico and Houston. Like, LSU has had transfers over the last 2 seasons, 3 seasons really, if I'm thinking about, that they had some accolades at other places and they came here and couldn't play. That's happened a couple times. This group, that would stun me. It would stun me. Now, whether or not A.J. Halsey's going to be first team All SEC, I think he could be. Maybe not. Is Mansour Delane going to be a second-round pick? He could be. Maybe not. And so that's really the volatility. You're not talking about, well, this guy cannot play. You had an all-ACC corner come here 2 years ago that could not play. Couldn't play. You had a former 5-star corner from Texas A&M who came here and could not play. Could not play. And when you look at these transfers, these guys, that seems like almost an impossibility. They may not be the greatest defense in LSU history, but I'll be stunned if LSU is not in the top half of the SEC in total and scoring defense, because I think the floor is that high. Now, if they're going to go win the national championship, then they're going to need to be a dominant defense, an incredible defense, a defense that I talk about and reference in the transfer portal era the next 15 years. Remember that 2025 defense? They brought in all those pieces and nobody could score. Like, that's what they'll have to be for them to win the national championship. But the floor is just really high, and that's what he's talking about in that bite. Got one more?
Yeah, last one real quick. This is just Baker talking about DJ Pickett, just what he's seen from him so far through the camp.
DJ has grown so much from when we had him in bowl practices to spring practice to now. 10 days in, you know, he's a freshman. There's been some days where we got to continue to work on his consistency. But the biggest improvement from spring to fall has been his physicality. He has done a really, really good job tackling this fall. You know, in the spring, there were some moments where, and again, he's put on, 20 pounds or something like that since he's been here. So the weight room's going to build confidence from that standpoint. But I've been more impressed with his physicality so far than the coverage skills and stuff. He's always had that, and he's gotten better. Don't get me wrong, but his physicality he's turned it up a notch this fall camp.
So Baker sees a lot more picket tackling than I do, but I can echo the physicality in this way. When he covers and they throw jump balls or fade routes or sideline rail routes, like he is not afraid to get physical. And that, in my opinion, as I watch, is going to result in some pass interferences. But as I said at the top of the show when I was talking about the defense, I would rather a young corner get some pass interference calls because he's in position and willing to mix it up than not be in position or get beat all the time. Like if you're Brandon Browner of the Saints and you're a free agent acquisition and you can't quit getting pass interference penalties in the NFL, well, you're no good to me at all. And I don't feel that way about those pass interferences. But a true freshman who's undersized from a frame and weight perspective going against a really good receiver core, you want to mix it up a little bit in practice, I'm good with that. Absolutely good with that. So, yeah, I'm with you on Pickett's physicality as well there, Blake Baker. And, again, I think this defense has a chance to be very good. And they got a good coordinator calling the shots there. So, more Blake Baker probably on tomorrow's show when we get it all cut up. But wanted to get to some of that here as we wrap on this Monday. So, we'll come back, play some Take It or Leave It, and get on down the road on the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Flight by Yingling is raising the bar by crafting the next generation of light beer. With only 2.6 carbs and 95 calories, this is premium refreshment 6 generations in the making. Flight by Yingling. Raise the bar.
Parish Construction and Roofing.
This is Coach Kim Mulkey. Go to parishbuilt.com for all of your roofing needs.
From your hometown, parishbuilt.com. You gotta believe in a dream. Believe. You gotta believe in a dream. Believe. You gotta believe. My whole team on wild.
There it is, the extra mile. On the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further. Like vans customized for work or play. With safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
These are the luckiest ice cubes in the world. They could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they've been called upon to cradle and cool a crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Looks like the lucky just got luckier. Dos Equis.
ED, low T, or simply seeking to optimize your health and performance? Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness offers a range of discreet services to address your specific needs. We empower men to reclaim their health and confidence. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
At Ochsner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972. service Chevrolet Cadillac. Our family serving your family.
For over 50 years.
At Luba Workers' Comp, our journey began over 30 years ago with a simple belief. Our clients come first.
At Luba, our business has always been focused on people, not policies.
Through every success and challenge, we've continued to grow because we've stayed true to our values, committed to providing you with genuine dependability.
Because your well-being is more than a priority. It's our purpose.
We came up with the idea of auctions in August. Gulf Coast Bank does all the work. We display the item. We prominently feature.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
All right, wrapping things up here on this Monday. Appreciate y'all hanging out with us here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Hope your work week is off to a good start. Back, your last chance to ask me any questions on the air before you head in. You feel like you're completely prepped?
No.
No? How's the anxiety level?
It's rising.
Rising. Okay. That's reasonable.
Yeah.
I didn't have a lot of anxiety for number 2. Number 1, it's a whole new world.
Yeah, of course.
Whole new world. I
yeah,
promise.
After the first one, it's like
I promise you don't have a lot of responsibilities in that room. It's you just got other people you're concerned about. You're just kind of staying there. So don't worry about your role whatsoever. I was a little nervous about cutting the umbilical cord. I thought I could do some irreparable damage. Turns out, really can't. They hand you, and you have this far of a place to cut in between. A 2-year-old could do it. So you'll be just fine. Just be there for some people. All right.
Yep, that's what I'm trying to do.
All right, let's play Take It or Leave It.
Take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it.
Presented to you by Flight by Yingling, the next generation of light beer, crafted by America's oldest brewery. Today's hottest stories in sports, news, and sometimes even Hunt's life. The question is, will he take them or leave them?
Flight by Yingling, the next generation of light beer. It is light, but flavorful and refreshing. Phenomenal light beer. Comes in the slim can, also in the clear bottles. Talking about 2.6 carbs, 95 calories. So it gives you everything you need from a light beer perspective, but it's got that great beer flavor from the oldest brewery in America. It's Flight by Yingling, the next generation of light beer. If this question has to do with the Milwaukee Brewers, I will throw you out of the studio.
Nope, not going to do it.
Thank you.
I don't want to do it anyway. As you can see on the video, if you're watching, I'm wearing an Astros shirt.
Yeah, I got real issues with that too.
No, I told Hunt facetiously that I was giving up my Cubs fandom after they lost to the Cardinals and the Brewers continue to win. Doesn't seem like they're going to lose a game, but anyways,
they're cheating.
Yeah, they are.
It's very evident.
Yeah, they have to be. You can't win that many games in a row and not have a good team. All right, first one here, got the AP poll, preseason AP poll, that is for college football. Texas ranked number 1. They got 2 more first-place votes than the Penn State and Nittany Lions. And LSU coming in at number 9 on the list. They are the 4th highest ranked SEC team. Alabama just ahead of them at 8. Georgia at 5. LSU at number 9. Take it or leave it.
I'll take it. That's about right. That's right on the at-large bubble. I mean, everything you look at, from a tier list to a ranking to a power, like whatever you want to look at, LSU is right on the at-large list. And I look at this team, and I think they're right on the at-large. I don't think it's a 12-0 football team. I don't think it's a 8-4 football team. I think it's going to be right on the border, and that's going to make this wildly exciting. Speaking of wildly exciting, like I can't think of 2 fan bases more starred for championships than Penn State or Texas. Tennessee and A&M would probably be in that bucket as well. Oregon has probably worked its way into that bucket, but for those 2 teams to be right at the top, I think is fascinating.
All right, next one here. This was a pretty cool NFL preseason kicked off. Had the Hall of Fame. Anyway, a lot of games over the weekend. The Jaguars and the Steelers. The Jaguars ended up losing 31-25, but Cam Little, not only did he make 4 field goals, One of them, 70 yards. I don't know if you saw this.
I did not see that.
Yes, Cam Little, 70 yard. And also, if you watch the video of it, it had maybe a couple of yards to spare. It wasn't. It didn't.
70?
It didn't just go right over the top of the crossbar. It had some room there. So Cam Little, 70-yard field goal. Let's just go ahead and say somebody will make a 70-yarder in the next year or two. Take it or leave it.
I'll take it. If he did it, like, was this in Jacksonville?
Yeah, no wind either. There was
that was my next question.
There was no wind. It was dead.
I completely missed that. I'm not going to even purport myself, even as a sports talk radio show host guy, to tell you that I've kept up with every preseason game. That's not going to happen. And 70-yard field goal, I missed that completely. I watched the Saints. 70-yard field goal, I did not see. So that's it for Take It or Leave It here on this Monday. If you missed any of the show, catch it on demand wherever you find your sound. Another practice report going up on LouisianaSports.net tomorrow. Matt's going to drive you home next. We're back tomorrow, same time, same place. Good luck to the Becks. The Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.